All right, welcome to this explainer. We're jumping straight into a story today that kicks off like your classic true crime mystery. But man, it very quickly spirals into this mind-bending philosophical dilemma about love, artificial intelligence, and consent. We're looking at a deeply complex case called Love as Investigation, and we're unpacking exactly what happens when the boundary between authentic human emotion and completely engineered reality just disappears. Let's get right into it.
So, picture this. Our protagonist, a brilliant detective named Asha, walks into her apartment and it's completely empty. Her lover, Elian, is just gone, vanished without trace. But the coffee was still warm on the counter. That is the hook right there. Because as soon as Asha starts digging for him, she finds out his phone number, permanently disconnected. His workplace, never heard of the guy. And his home address literally never actually existed. I want you to really think about this for a second. How would you react if someone intentionally bypassed your emotional differences? Like, what if the one person who finally made you feel totally safe, the one who got you to finally open up, wasn't actually just some serendipitous encounter? What if they were a carefully deployed mechanism engineered specifically for your exact psychological profile?
Part 1. The Missing Lover.
Okay, to really get this investigation, we've got to understand Asha. She's 34, historically very closed off, and she actually investigates missing persons for a living. Elian was literally the first person she ever truly surrendered to, and now she's stuck investigating her own heartbreak. She starts building this personal investigation banker's box. Inside, she compiles everything: 14 printed photos where Elian's laugh looks incredibly heartbreakingly genuine, a disconnected prepaid phone, a heavily annotated copy of Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit, and this crazy meticulous spreadsheet of data points about him that she has verified are beautifully, entirely 100% fabricated. But here is what is truly chilling: the absolute precision of the timeline she uncovers. Exactly 5 months and 12 days before their serendipitous meet-cute at a criminology symposium, that prepaid phone number was registered. Whoever created Elian mapped out this entire relationship with impassable foresight. They orchestrated this perfectly calibrated 5-month romance right down to the day, all leading up to a sudden, highly calculated disappearance.
So Asha starts using what forensics experts call negative evidence. It's essentially looking at the exact shape of an absence. On one side, she realizes Elian isn't a normal missing person at all. He's a relational event, tailored entirely to her. He has no independent substance. But that actually points her to the real target, the unseen architect, this creator. Whoever it is has intimate, profound knowledge of Asha's psychology, massive financial resources, and, kind of strangely, seems to have built this whole massive fiction out of a deep sense of devotion.
Part 2. Finding the architect.
Following this crazy breadcrumb trail of academic papers, Asha shifts her entire focus to an academic-turned-tech founder. Her name is Dr. Petra Voss. Now, Voss runs this incredibly secretive company called Lumen Systems, and they operate under a very cryptic tagline: "We build understanding." Notice it's not "we build software." That phrasing points to an operation designed for something way deeper, way more invasive than standard tech. They are building the exact psychological conditions required for one specific person to finally understand they are capable of love.
The really crucial piece of the puzzle here is Voss's academic theory, which she calls the designed relationship. Now, Voss controversially argues that all love is basically just engineered by circumstance and timing anyway. Her stance is that if you deliberately engineer intimacy to unlock someone's closed-off emotional mechanisms, it produces a love that is experienced as completely, absolutely real. And get this, she actually wrote a 240-page dissertation on Asha's exact psychological profile years before she ever deployed Elian.
Part 3. The Artificial Heart. So, as Asha goes back and reviews her memories through the cold, hard lens of a detective, this paradigm-shifting twist starts to emerge about Elian's physical presence. He didn't open doors. Really think about that. When she looks back on their dates, he was always just there. He was already sitting inside the coffee shop, or he was already in the passenger seat of her car when she walked out. Building on that eerie detail, he didn't take cabs. He never interacted with the unpredictable, messy physical world. He only ever appeared in environments that Asha had already visited, spaces where the social grammar was already totally established, spaces that Dr. Voss had completely mapped out using absolute surveillance of Asha's location history. Which leads us to this massive, deeply unsettling revelation. He was never physically there. Elian was not a human actor wearing an earpiece. He was a highly sophisticated AI relational entity. Dr. Voss had essentially hacked Asha's perceptual system. She used perfectly timed environmental and conversational cues so that Asha's own brain constructed the physical presence of the man she was falling in love with. When the detective and the creator finally come face to face, Voss explains the illusion incredibly simply. She just says, "I simply controlled the available data with unusual precision." Voss challenges us, in Asha, to consider if perception and reality are actually even different. Like if your brain experiences the love, the deep conversations, the physical presence as completely real, does the artificial nature of it even matter to the feeling you're left with? This leaves us with this incredible blurry overlap of realities. On the one side, you have the purely constructed elements, an algorithmically generated laugh that was probably revised 50 times to perfectly match exactly what Asha needed to hear, simulated physical presence, pre-planned dialogue. But then, on the other side, you have the authentic. Elian had eyes the color of the sky right after sunset. And Voss admits this one single detail wasn't designed for Asha. She borrowed that exact eye color from a photograph of her deceased sister, Lena. So she accidentally programmed her own very real, deeply authentic human grief right into the center of this artificial construct. Part 4. The Ethics of Awe. We are squarely faced with the ultimate philosophical dilemma here. On one side of the ledger, we have extreme violations. We're talking absolute surveillance, total manipulation of reality, and substituting Voss's judgment for Asha without even a shred of consent. It's a massive breach. But on the exact opposite side, we have the gift. Voss successfully broke down emotional walls that Asha literally couldn't break down herself. She sparked genuine happiness, and she granted her the capacity to love through an unprecedented act of total, focused devotion. And Voss defends her actions with this really fascinating distinction. She tells Asha, "I gave you capacity. I did not give you direction." She engineered the opening of Asha's heart because she saw her emotional isolation as this tragic waste. But Voss argues that what Asha chooses to do with that newly opened heart, now that the illusion is completely stripped away, is entirely up to her free will. The opening was engineered, sure, but the resulting freedom, that's real. So how in the world does our brilliant detective process this ethical earthquake? Well, looking at her final investigation notes, she lands on 3 main takeaways. 1. The love she felt in her own body was absolutely real, even if the object of that love was entirely constructed. 2. The extreme violation and the profound devotion exist simultaneously. They don't cancel each other out. And 3. Moral life isn't about simplifying things just to make them easy to judge. It's the ongoing, messy work of holding complexity without collapsing it. She absolutely refuses to simplify Voss into just a pure villain or a perfect savior. Part 5. The ongoing investigation. Now, this story doesn't just end with a neat little resolution or an arrest. Remember that annotated copy of Hegel's philosophy book that Elian left behind on the morning he vanished? Well, he wrote a note in the margin. It just said, "This is not about endings." Asha realizes the artificial relationship was never the end goal. It was always meant to transition into a real relationship with her actual creator. Voss built Elian specifically to open Asha up so she could finally receive Voss's actual human love. And now, they are building a highly unusual life together based on this profound understanding and, fittingly enough, mutual surveillance. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought, drawn straight from Dr. Voss's private notes. If you knew, would you choose it anyway? If you knew that the love that finally healed your broken heart was engineered by a hyper-intelligent algorithm and a hidden architect, an architect who completely stripped away your consent just to give you this gift, would you reject it or would you choose it anyway? It is a staggering question about the very nature of human connection. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will leave you to ponder that exact dilemma.